Hey, I'm Arthur Leland.
And I'm Emma Rose.
Welcome to Lyons, Colorado for another edition of Colorado Hearthwarming 2021.
Relationships were weird before, but this year they got weirder with COVID. We've all been in our houses with our loved ones, hearts being cracked open all over the place. We'll be joined by our guest artist Mackenzie Page of Gipsy Moon, Clay Rose of the Gasoline Lollipops to talk about their songs, navigating relationships and matters of the heart.
This episode is a benefit for Lyons Emergency and Assistance Fund. We're going to be focusing on their gig grants and their COVID grants and their support of all the musicians and artists in Lyons who have lost work since COVID. Our special guest facilitator for this episode will be Michael Joseph Ferguson. He's an author, a podcast host, a personal life coach, and a workshop facilitator, and an amazing dude. We're going to go to the barn and hear some music, and then we'll be back to We Casa, which we're overlooking right here for some fireside chats.
And more music.
Exactly. See you guys in a bit.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bricks are made of mud. It's been pouring here all day. House was made of earth. Now there's nothing left but clay.
What we're gonna do now, spin that clay into a bowl. Earth is leaning northward, turning hard rain into snow. How come my heart feels so cracked open? When the love is running deep, someday we all will cross over. Baby, right now is all we'll ever be.
Frozen up inside now. All these blizzards got me bound. Lie dead wood with fire. Burn this house down to the ground.
Ashes to ashes, no matter the hot air that I blow. Damn twister's gonna uproot me, leave me pieces of my home. How come my heart feels so cracked open? When the love is running deep, someday we all will
childless mother now full grown.
Bricks are made of mud. It's been pouring here all day. House is made of earth. Now there's nothing left but clay. How come my heart feels so cracked open? When the love is running deep. Someday we all will cross over. Baby, right now is all we'll ever need. Baby, right now is all we'll ever be. Baby, right now is all
Some of me gave you some of me, pulled the rug from underneath, tossed it out into the sea. I'm more me, suddenly I'm more me. Pick the pieces carefully from 20 leagues under the sea. You've got me hanging on a cloud. I've been a bishop, come down electricity, dance between our skin again. You like lightning, you move an inch higher on a mile. Guess that happens after a while. Oh, I'll try keep it casual. Oh, baby, you've got me hanging on a cloud. I've been a fish, probably come down electricity. Dance between our skin again. You're like lightning, I move an inch, you run a mile. Guess that happens after a while. Oh, I'll try, I'll try, I'll try. I'll try, I'll try, I'll try. I'll try, I'll try, I'll try to keep it casual.
I've been waking up in fits, fumbling in the dark, afraid that when the lights come on I won't know where you are. Like all the years since I got clean, had just been a sweet drunk dream, and everything we built was just smoke and steam. I got nightmares feeding on my fear and hope, telling me I'm right there where I was years ago. They say a man can't change no matter how hard he tries. They say some birds just weren't born to fly. Some say it's impossible to turn hard luck charitable. Well, I say it's a miracle that I've come this far. 'Cause I've been living rough and clean on lollipops and gasoline, just cradling a young man's dream in an old man's arms. I got nightmares on my fear and hope, telling me I'm right there where I was years ago. They say a man can't change no matter how hard he tries. They say some birds just weren't born to fly. I've been living with this hangover all of these years. Everyone I know is sending me prayers. I've been burning bridges and driving tears. I got plenty of fire.
Welcome back to the Hearth. We're chilling here at We Casa. We've got our friend Michael Joseph Ferguson here from San Diego talking about navigating relationships and matters of the heart. And inside of COVID in 2020, it's been kind of a cluster boink, I think, and a pressure cooker. Exactly. So we've got Mackenzie Page, Clay Rose, and my co-host Emma Rose. Let's talk about, and they're not related, let's talk about this, what we just heard there. How about it, Michael?
Yeah, that was powerful. I think let's start with Some of Me. That was Mackenzie's song. So yeah, I heard some key themes there. If we're talking about relationships, I'm hearing, like, what jumped out to me was like a theme of wholeness and like how you can lose yourself in relationship, but then also you can gain pieces of yourself through that other person, maybe giving you the mirror. Mackenzie, tell me a little bit about like what brought that song on. Where did that come from?
As far as writing that song, I mean, I think I was coming from a similar place as you are about, you know, more or less creating boundaries within a relationship and establishing those boundaries firmly through communication. And I think that's just, especially now during COVID, where we're all trapped in our houses, very important to do, and it's also very difficult to do without, you know, crushing someone's feelings. So it's a push and pull thing that I found myself really kind of deep diving into within that song. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you experienced that in your one bedroom with your wife and kids.
Yeah, right. The pressure cooker of the one bedroom.
The pressure cooker of the one bedroom.
And losing myself, definitely it's an easy environment to lose yourself in,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us are experiencing that. During COVID, the ones of us that are living with partners or roommates right now, it's hard to establish boundaries. Yeah, I wrote Nightmares about the fear of losing myself back to drugs and alcohol because I'm in recovery, and that's something that I'm tempted and likely to do if I don't fill myself from a deeper well on a daily basis before I try to fill the others around me. And so yeah, I wrote that song within COVID and just feeling very worn thin and feeling like I was hanging by a thread. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that.
Absolutely. And Michael, I think you had something to say about the whole stress addiction piece, which I thought was really a potent piece for these times.
Yeah, well, when I was researching the book, one of the things that I think inspired me to write Drummer in the Great Mountain was researching addiction research and how it affects the brain chemistry. And one of the things that they found recently is that stress is actually what perpetuates addiction. So they talked about how when people were just like they were clean and sober for a while, and then some stress would come in and that would be it. So the importance of stress reduction to whatever the demon is, to keep it at bay. Stress reduction is so essential to keep those cravings from coming on, so we can take care of ourselves and not have to succumb to, you know, the dragon.
Totally. Well, it's like the sweet nostalgia of 2019. Remember that year? Remember pre-pressure cooker? Well, I think we're going to move into a Mackenzie Page song called Sweet Nostalgia next. So let's do that, and then we'll be back here at the Hearth.
And your memories are buried in the shark. seem to know, to understand how I fell into a dreamland. I hope one day we could laugh about it all with a sentimental longing. Regret will come a-mocking. That is a fall. To love I come a-crawling, wistful and a plodding heart. I'm haunted by the realness of it all, like dead roses I evolve to sweet nostalgia, like dead roses I evolve to sweet nostalgia, to sweet nostalgia.
We were born to a line of dreams. They all did what they could do. Drop the full weight of their hope inside me. I see it inside of you. It's a seed that grows the garden, baby. It's a thought that makes the mind. So content yourself with dirty weeds and roses, tangle up with mine. How about a midnight dance by the children sleep? Lay your head against my chest. We can't save them, they're in too deep, but we'll do our best. How about a midnight dance while the children sleep? Lay your head against my chest. We can't save them, they're in too deep, our best. Yeah, how about a midnight dance while the world's asleep? Put our faith, God, to the test. We can't save them, they're in too deep, but we'll do our best. Yeah, we'll do our best.
Hey, we're back around the fire with our hearts and the flames and our friend Michael Ferguson through the airwaves all the way from San Diego, California. And we're going to talk about the songs that we just heard, Sweet Nostalgia and Midnight Dance. Michael, what's your input?
Beautiful songs. I'm taking in Sweet Nostalgia. I mean, what landed for me was, oh man, we're all feeling like, what was life like before COVID? It's starting to feel a little blurry. Yeah, there's kind of like a haze of like, okay, there was 2020, but what happened before that? And I think all those memories post or pre-COVID are pretty vibrant. I think anything we think about is probably even better than actually what was happening in the moment. Mackenzie, tell me about that song.
I wrote that song probably a year, 2 years before COVID even happened. So I never really thought it would become so pertinent and, you know, to the moment of now. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely about just remembering the past through rose-colored glasses. When we lose something of comfort, I think we tend to look back at it as like the ultimate thing and make it brighter than it might have been. But that's just, you know, I like to, for myself, think of it as, you know, growth is uncomfortable, and, you know, as much as we want to pretend like we can go back to the way things used to be, it necessarily isn't always the right path forward. So I think that song was, for me, just kind of, you know, succumbing to the idea that, yes, okay, this was my past, it was wonderful, I loved it, but what's the future? The line particularly that hit me the hardest when it came through was, like dead roses, I bow to sweet nostalgia. So that is just like, I feel like we're all doing that to 2020, just like, I surrender to you 2020.
Valentines Day
like,
style.
I am not gonna try to plan anything. I am not gonna try to go anywhere. So yeah, that's mostly, I guess with Midnight Dance, it's a little bit of a similar path in ways.
Well, it's definitely bowing to 2020,
yeah.
to the weight and the
to the weight of it, for
and
sure.
the strength of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just feeling kind of crushed under. At the time that I wrote it, it was when all the BLM protests were going on. People were being shot in the streets. We had all the wildfires here in Colorado. The mountains were burning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how do I present this to my children in a way that doesn't cause hopelessness, right? So where do I find the hope and the love in this? And where I instinctually looked was to my wife and just to the love that we have for each other and the love that we have as a family, and just sort of pull it in close and tight and weather the storm that way. But yeah, bowing like dead roses
But see, I love your take on it too, though, because that image of you guys dancing through it and, you know, lay your head on my chest, and that, I just feel like we've been doing so much of that in 2020. Like when you say, Michael, just of like leaning on those that are closest to us.
And I wonder how nostalgic we'll be for 2020 5 or 10
right?
years
when
from
we're
now,
like,
right?
I miss the days I could
When
just
the
stay
zombies
home
come.
and I
Or
didn't have
and
to
when
go
we
anywhere.
and when we felt that kind of dependent on each other as we have, I think that the community has become much more nuclear. Like it's smaller, but the people you're leaning on, you're really leaning on, and you're really trusting, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like before 2020 hit, we had the luxury of distraction and spreading ourselves thin a bit that we don't have today.
I think that's the beautiful thing of how this even came into existence was I feel like what you're saying is the thing of tribing up. It's like when all of a sudden the crunch is happening, who's your tribe and who are you going to tribe up with, and then what's created out of that? Because if you can't do what you normally do, what are you going to do? And as artists, this is what we do. So we created this space to, you know, have this conversation both musically and like this, because we're all, you know, this is giving context to our songs in a new way, our lives in a new way, our relationships in a new way, and then in creating something new. So here we are with you beaming in from San Diego and being one of my favorite authors who is, you know, your book has changed my life, and I feel like this conversation with you is a powerful piece. So thank you.
Thank you. I really feel like there's a thread here of I think we're moving in. There's hope coming into 2021. I'm feeling that. I think we're starting to get the ground underneath us again.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying anyway. And the next song that we're going to move into is a Mackenzie Page song. So maybe when we look back through our rose-colored glasses in 2022, and we'll go, yeah, we tried to make it happen, and we did to a certain point. So now we're going to move in back to the barn.
I tried to love you, baby. Tried to give you my all. The stars, they won't align, only asteroids, they fall. Now I'm reigning free. You woke the sleeping dogs. The roof is caving. Won't you look at all the shooting stars? You go your way, I'll go mine. We'll circle round and find there's nowhere left to hide. It seems that we're confined to sit here and decide how we'll meet all.
late summer golden grass, gray skies are coming fast, holding on to heaven in the twilight of the world. Dry roses in her hair fall to pieces everywhere. The universe is hollow in the shadow of my girl. And the night comes easy to those who fear the light. Oh, the night comes easy to the blind. Galaxies like broken glass, mile markers of the past, following a heartbeat, praying that it's yours. Am I underwater here? Is it dark or is it clear? No memory of love or fear, all I am is you. And the night don't come easy to those who seek the light. No, the night is justice for the blind. Such thing as straight lines, nothing but the breath of God breathing in the blue. Am I underwater here? Is it dark or is it clear? No memory of love or fear, all I am is you. And the night breaks easy on the dawn that births the mind. Oh, the light breaks easily the blind.
Welcome back to the Hearth. Here we are in Lyons, Colorado at Wicasa with our good friend Michael Joseph Ferguson, and we just heard a pretty deep statement, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate both of you guys in terms of being here and just sharing yourselves in the music conversation of the songs that we picked for this show were very specific, and many of yours were written during this last year. This last one, Blind, is, I'd have to say, it's a real powerful piece, and the bowing on the upright to bring the emotional element of that piece present was really, really powerful. So, yeah, so, you know, she comes from a star at the first show, and now she's a co-host, and now here you are, beaming in from San Diego to take us deeper into this tune, Blind. What did you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I was listening to it, I was tuning into Michael Mead, who's a somewhat of a storyteller, wise elder being, and he talks about, because that theme was about dying, and I think that's like the underpinning of what we've been all afraid of in 2020. And Michael Mead talks about how a true elder, someone who's like an elder of the tribe, someone who really is carrying people through, they always have one foot in the land of death, in the sense that they're not afraid of what it's going to bring, so that they can hold that space for the rest of the tribe. And so that's what came up for me. Clay, it's a powerful song. I mean, what was your experience writing that?
It was definitely riddled with fear of death. So I wouldn't say that I'm one of the elders. But really, it's not so much a fear of losing myself as losing what I love. Namely, in that song, my wife. I've been in love with her since I was 18 years old. So I can't imagine my life without her. And I do know that if we are a success story of marriage, that's the end game. One of us will be taken, and one of us will be left. And so that song was sort of a song of hope that love would be strong enough to guide me through the bardo between death and rebirth, and that hopefully somewhere in between the two of us would mix, you know, and if not, find each other as separate beings, be reborn as the same one.
Super powerful.
Yeah. I love that, because I mean, if we talk about sun rays too, I have this line in there that's, if I were a tree, be a tree next to me. And that came from a dream I had where me and my partner were like reborn as trees, and we would intertwine our branches. So I kind of like that idea as well of imagining love in different lifetimes. And I mean, I think that's what we kind of all hope for, right? Like, I feel like the fear of death is not always a personal fear of death, but it's a loss of the love. The love is the thing we fear to lose more than life itself, I guess.
Yeah. And yet that's the peace, that's the eternal peace,
Yeah.
the love. And that is what's left. We lost another friend of ours down Perrycorn just recently, and we did one of our Blue Sky Barn benefits for him, one of our streams for him, and it was really powerful to stand in the transition, because it's real. And we're all going to be there, and not being afraid of that, but also being able to, I call it the no reverb vocal mix. It's like it seems like when death happens, life is right up in your face, right? Like the vocal is like right here, and there's only one place to be, present to the love and the pain, because it's bittersweet. It's both, the loss, like you're saying, but also the love, which is ultimately the stronger piece.
Yeah, and you know, I think our culture it's the one taboo in our culture that's bigger than everything's death. Like I don't feel like we have the tools that maybe more of a tribal culture has in dealing with death, and I think that's what's triggered so many people this last year. And I think in a lot of ways, perhaps even the conspiracy theories and all that, it was some manifestation of us being afraid of, like, how do we deal with this at this scale? Like, what do we do about it? And I think it's percolating up in very interesting ways in our culture right now. So that was a beautiful exploration going into death, and also seeing what's on the other side of it.
Love like sun rays. It's on the other side
Hopefully,
of it.
yeah, that's what
It's
we're
everywhere.
We hope.
Well, and the community, again, the loss, but also the community piece, that to me is what we have going on here, is this opportunity to come together and share what we do with each other and get to know each other, but also have this conversation and celebration of the tribe.
Yeah.
And building that, because this is part of the intention of what we're doing here is building the tribe. It'll grow as, what's up? What are you, Daniel Rodriguez? What are you doing here? Yeah, wrap it up. Yeah. Exactly. It's not the first time that Daniel has told me to. Let's move it on. Right. We've been on tour together, so that should tell you enough.
The last solo you took on his song.
Exactly. Wrap that
How
solo.
do we get out of this,
Arthur? Well, it's actually a beautiful thing. Again, the celebration of community and what we're doing here with the hearth warming. We're going to go back to the barn to hear a couple more tunes, and then checking out to the next level. So I want to thank you, Michael, for being here. And I also want to encourage our listeners out there to check out Michael's book, The Drummer in the Great Mountain, and especially the chapter, Navigating Emotions, chapter 7, which really gets into the communication, nonviolent communication tools around that. I mean, all the stuff, all the pressure cooker stuff. I mean, your chapter 7, everything, it's so thick. Everything that we're dealing with in this time period, it's all in that chapter. To me, out of the whole book, that's like the major one for relationships and navigating matters of the heart.
Well, let's give it up for Marshall Rosenberg, because I mean, so much of that came out of nonviolent communication, and Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's work is, it's fantastic. So pick up the book, Nonviolent Communication, as well. Find a group nearby. That's the stuff. To me, like, I'm building on that.
So I want to thank everybody, my co-host Emma Rose, Mackenzie Page, Clay Rose. We even have a Charlie Rose on this gig playing pedal steel. Michael, lots of roses, because it's Valentine's Day, of course. So exactly, and what a better metaphor than the beauty and the
pain.
The pain of the rose, exactly, the thorns. It's pretty much like what the scoop is. So we're gonna hear another song from Mackenzie right here around the fire.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, you shine like a droplet of water that's made its way down to the sea. And even the smallest part of your love is a whole wide ocean to me. For we are just 2 grains of sand in the tides we dance and sway, in a love so infinitely grand. I hold your hand to a grave. It's the way that the sun lights up your face, no matter the time or place or season. Oh, babe, I think I'm gonna stay. It's the way that you're whispering my name. I'm weak in the knees, oh babe, don't you see? Love's like the sun rays. If I were a tree, you'd be a tree next to me, and we could intertwine our branches with a blanket of leaves to keep the winter breeze from killing our romances. When the winter it comes, from the cold we'll run, while the snow it builds its castles. We will stay inside until the wind it dies, in our home on the road less traveled. It's the way that the sun lights up your face, no matter the time or place or season. Oh, babe, I think I'm gonna stay. It's the way that you whisper in my name. I'm weak in the knees, oh babe, don't you see? Love's like a sun rays. It's the way that the sun lights up your face, no matter the time or place or season. Babe, I think I'm gonna stay. It's the way that you whisper in my name. I'm weak in the knees, oh babe, don't you see? Your love's like the sun rays.
Love is like a cannonball. Open the door, or it'll use the wall and blow your heart into smithereens and leave the prettiest mess, yes, that you've ever seen. How does it go when you're on your own? Love is a river, you're a sinking stone. It rose like the sun, light filled up your home. Oh, but it sank like a bomb and left you shivering to the bone. Yeah, love is like a speeding train. It'll take you where you're going, unless you're standing in its way. And then it blows you right off the tracks and leaves you with regrets, yes, that you can never take back. These are the instruments we all paint with, the pigment of a prayer, the water of a myth. We can destroy the only reason to live, or we can create what they say don't exist. And it all just